On that note, the last story of the day comes from London, England. Now, if you've been following in the news, England is, I mean, it's hard to say if you've been following in the news, because if you're following mainstream media, they probably won't talk about it. But if you're following a lot of other news, a lot of the knife rate is up, knife crime is up, murder rate is up, overall violence is up. I mean, these statistics, acid attacks are up. It's not a very safe place as it once was. England is getting worse. I mean, I don't know a nicer way to put it. I think just statistically, all the statistics show that crime is going way, way up because they did something that no one wants to talk about that YouTube will probably demonetize me for even mentioning, so I won't mention it, but everyone knows why. So instead of trying to figure out, is it the people? Is it because this? Is it like a certain group of people that are doing bad things? Should we hold individuals accountable instead of holding whole groups accountable? They decided to, ban guns. They have a gun ban in England. They've had it for a while. And then London Mayor Sadiq thought it was a very brilliant idea to call for a knife ban. And you have you can go on Twitter. It's almost like a parody. You think it's a parody account, and then you realize it's actual police officers in England. They're calling for knife bans and saying, hey, look, we found a bunch of screwdrivers and knives, and we took them away. Like, they're bragging about taking screwdrivers and knives away from people on Twitter. You think I'm being sarcastic. I've literally seen the tweets myself. They posted a picture of like a bunch of tools. Like my friend down the street who runs a construction business, like they just arrested him for doing his job and like bragged about it on Twitter. It's straight ridiculous. But so they went guns, knives, and even though they're starting to ban knives in certain areas, knife crime is up, gun crime is up, murder rate's up, like a lot of things are up. I mean, depending what statistics you read, I don't want to be quoted on it because then they'll probably say, oh, Anomaly, we changed the stats, so nobody believed that, and Anomaly lied or whatever. But, I mean, look it up yourself, guys. It's pretty clear, I think, statistically, and some news organizations even said, they're passing New York City in crime in the first time ever. Anyway, so none of that's working because, of course, anybody with a brain knows that it's not the inanimate object that commits a crime. I could literally take my light and smack somebody in the head with it right now and, probably break their head in half. But I don't do that because I'm not a psychopath. So it's not the inanimate object that hurts people. It's the person, it's the mind, it's the ideology that is very skewed. So they haven't figured that out yet. March for Our Lives hasn't figured that out yet. Nobody in America that's marching in the streets like zombies figured that out yet. So since they're having a lot of car attacks, because just to be honest, there's a certain group of people, and I'm not saying all people of that religion, but there's certain people, a large group of people that do that all the time, all over the world. They, suicide bomb. They put people on the front of cages and like drive their car like, slaves. I mean, it's really sick stuff going on. And I guess England doesn't care about it, but they're having car attacks very, very frequently. So, instead of realizing, why did we live successfully in England for 50, 60, 70 years, 100 years, and never had car attacks, and then now we're having car attacks like all the time, and we're having suicide bombers every year, and people, murder rates are up, knife rates are up, gun rates are even up, acid attacks are ridiculously higher than they've ever been. Instead of realizing that, they're like, Sadiq Mayor of London, had a brilliant idea. Let's ban cars from certain areas of Parliament Square. That ought to stop the attacks, because once again, it's not the person in the car, according to these people. It's the car being in certain areas that it shouldn't be, because, anybody driving around Parliament Square, I mean, anybody's just going to want to turn it and start hitting people with it. That's a total normal thing to happen. So, according to Sadiq it's like, let's just ban cars from that part of the area. That must be it, because somebody in a car, it's not like they can drive and hit people anywhere in the city. It's like, maybe it's Parliament Square, and maybe, they're targeting government institutions, but, we'll just ban them from those areas. So, I mean, this should be a wake-up call. And this is why I'm going in harder and harder and harder, because I'm trying to wake people up. Myself, I need to wake up. I'm getting a little tired, but this is the United States on liberalism and progressive socialism if you continue it. Because, like I always say, I don't like to pick sides, but I don't know a single progressive socialist or a single liberal anymore, unless they come out and say the truth, and then they get banned from Twitter, or they get called a right-wing whatever. They're so naive and they're so foolish that this is their solution. England is the United States in 10 years on leftism. I don't know another way to put it. You continue pushing progressive socialism and you continue pushing this faulty liberalism, we are going to turn into England. Crime up, way up. We've always had crime going down in the United States. Do you want to continue that, or do you want to say, oh, let's open the borders and let's bring in 2 million people from countries where they literally put people on cages in the front of cars, and maybe nothing will happen. Maybe it'll get better. It's not going to get better. I don't know a nicer way to put it. It failed in Sweden. It failed in the UK. It failed in Germany. It failed in Italy. It failed in Denmark. Literally just read the news. I mean, look what Denmark's doing. They're doing extreme stuff. If we in the United States did what Denmark is doing, Denmark has a complete burqa ban. Denmark is literally like taking kids away from their parents if they don't follow the rules and putting them into Danish schools. If people did that in the United States, they would say it's the return of the Nazis. But they're literally doing it in Denmark, and socialists are completely quiet. They keep saying, Denmark has universal socialism. Oh, they love socialism. No, they don't. They hate everything that you've ever done to their country. And it's backfiring tremendously. That's why they're doing extreme things that I don't want to do here. I don't want to have to ban certain things, and I don't want to have to steal kids from their parents. But if you keep screwing up, you're going to get somebody really right-wing, and it's not going to be pretty for me or anyone else. I don't want a super far right-wing government. I'm happy with Donald Trump. He's good. You know, he's not that right-wing. He's like standard, like common sense. But if you keep messing up and screwing up and pushing us further left, you're going to turn into UK, and you're going to turn into Sweden. And they have massive, massive problems. Sweden is having massive problems. Italy is having massive problems. Denmark is having massive problems. The UK is having massive problems. Germany is having massive problems. And nobody on the left wants to talk about it because it doesn't fit their completely fake, skewed, non-existent narrative that's just not true. And the media is, you know, supporting and sanctioning these ideas that it's a flawless system and we got to keep doing it. It's not working. England is the United States in 10 years. You keep flooding our border with illegal immigrants, and I have no problem with illegal immigrants. There's nothing wrong. Like, if people are working and being good people, I'm not a hater. I'm just saying Mexico has a murder rate higher than it's ever been in recorded history. You can Google it. It comes from mainstream left-wing sources. Mexico's murder rate, this video is already going to get demonetized, so I'm giving up on it, but Mexico's murder rate's higher than it's ever been in its recorded history. Is that not a red flag to you to like maybe have stricter immigration? Oh, maybe Trump is so terrible because he wants to stop a country that has its biggest murder rate ever from actually coming in, you know, unvetted, and we don't know who they are. If you keep letting in people from Mexico by the 50,000, 100,000 a month, if you keep begging for refugees from Syria and Libya to come to the United States, even though it's a proven fact that they're tanking the UK, Sweden, and Germany, it's a fact. It's statistics. It's math. It's science. I don't know what you want me to say. I don't know if this is considered hate speech, but the side of the political debate that claims that they like math and science so much don't want to do basic math and basic science when it comes to this type of stuff. I don't literally, you know, almost half of my family is Mexican. My grandma is literally from Puerto Rico. Okay, I have friends from the Middle East who will tell you the same exact thing. If you don't want to hear me say it, I'll bring on my Muslim Pakistani friend and he'll tell you the same exact thing to your face. So you can maybe hear it from another voice that sounds better to you. But if the United States continues this delusional leftism, which comes from the progressive socialists who think they're so woke, getting kicked off Twitter because they tell half-truths and, you know, lie half the time, and obviously the Democratic Party, we will turn into the UK. We will have the problems that Sweden has. We will have worse problems than you could ever imagine if you follow this failed ideology of banning guns and banning knives and banning cars and banning people from speaking. We don't want Tommy Robinson to tell us that there's groups of men literally grooming a bunch of like 12-year-olds and raping them. We don't want Tommy Robinson. We're going to throw him in jail for telling us that, and then we're going to act like they're the victims. They're so soft. In Sweden, that there's reports that somebody literally got raped, and then they sent that person back to their country. And the person felt bad. He literally got raped and then was like, oh, I didn't want you to send him back. I feel bad. Just keep him here and let him rape me again. I'd rather... It's like, at what point do you just realize that's not the play? That's not the way to go. It has nothing to do with racism, sexism, or xenophobia. It's literally math and science. People from Syria and Libya don't want to be enslaved. They don't want, jihadis blowing up buildings and killing people for no reason. So why in the world would you want it? I just don't understand it. It has nothing to do. People from Syria will tell you, you're foolish, you're crazy. I have videos, someone called in. I have videos of my friend Checker from Syria saying this exact stuff, making fun of Justin Trudeau of Canada and making fun of, left-wing people in the United States for being like, dude, you're literally inheriting all our problems, because now that Syria is actually fixed, now that you stop, funding rebels and trying to overthrow their government, there is no refugee crisis. You see what I'm saying? It has nothing to do with racism or xenophobia. If you stop these wars, there's no refugee crisis and the people can live in their home countries. But if you start these wars and blur the lines of reality, then you take in a boat of like 20,000 men between ages of 18 and 30, there's no women there. Oh, we need to help all these people. We need to help these families. How come they're leaving their families behind then? How come there's not a single woman there? Because they don't actually care about women and children. And I don't know at what point is this hate speech and at what point is this basic reality. I'm trying to warn people in the nicest way possible. The UK is going full Looney Tunes. I don't know at what point, what's going to go on there. That's why they voted for Brexit, and they're trying to overturn that, just like they're trying to overturn the Trump administration. At what point do left-wing people wake up to this unfortunate reality of UK is not this beacon of socialism because they have universal health care. It is a beacon of what not to do and how not to go left-wing, because it will tank your whole system. It's never historically worked once. It's never worked. Why has it never worked? Because the whole ideology and the whole system is a fail. It doesn't work. It never will work. It's a great idea. Just like if I said, I'm going to make an ice cream shop on a cloud, and then I'm going to drop ice cream into people's mouth from a cloud. And then I say, hey, dude, it's not going to work. And then, dude, are you saying you don't want me to drop ice cream from a cloud into your mouth? Dude, what are you, a jerk? There's women and children who have no food and no health care, and you don't want to give them food and health care because you're racist. No, I'm not saying, it's a great idea, but I'm just saying it's not physically possible to drop ice cream on a cloud into people's mouth. Just like socialism doesn't work, because it's this ridiculous idea that if you give all your money and power and control to the federal government and redistribute people's wealth, that it's somehow going to balance out society and not end up in a fascistic, totalitarian, completely lunatic run government where they're like, and then it's like everything's going up and they're like, let's blame law-abiding citizens and let's ban inanimate objects. It's literally never worked. It literally never will work, and I'll continue to say it because it's true. So thank you guys for listening. Hopefully that wasn't too much, but I don't know at what point. I'm going to speak my mind while I still can, because this is the reality, and I'm trying to protect immigrants in this country. The mainstream media and progressive left-wing socialists just virtue signal about immigrants. I want to protect the immigrants in the United States. I want to protect the white, black, Latino, Asian, Indian, Hindu, Christian, Muslim, atheist, agnostic people of the United States from reaping their own demise. I want to protect the Nigerians who, escape this type of genocidal ideology to come to the United States and thrive, who don't want to bring all the failed ideologies of their country to the United States. I say this for the people in Pakistan who took 10 years and $10,000 to come to the United States to avoid what's happening in Pakistan. I say, and I'm not saying everything's wrong in Pakistan. I know I have a lot of Pakistani supporters. I'm sure it's great. But I'm just saying, we are the United States of America. And people come to the United States of America because it's the United States of America. There's literal mainstream articles of celebrities from England leaving England because they don't feel safe there. They're coming from England to LA because they don't feel safe. Think about how bad England must be if they're coming to Los Angeles just to feel safe, because Los Angeles will turn into England in 15 years if you follow these failed ideologies that England followed. Sweden's about to go right-wing for the first time in over 100 years. Sweden has been a socialist capitalist society for 100 years, and they're going to go right-wing. The right-wing party's polling higher than they ever have in history, and YouTube and Facebook are censoring them and blocking them and kicking them off. So, and I just want to say too, before Julian Assange got, banned from Twitter, he tweeted out, maybe I'll share it later, because people think Sweden's so great and so socialist. He tweeted, Sweden's elites own and control more of the GDP than any other country in Europe. So it's not socialist redistributed to everybody like it literally always happens. The elites in Sweden control more of the GDP than any country in Europe. It's not a socialist society. It's a, small group of people, which is what happens 100% of the time when you try to implement these policies. And then you bring in hundreds of thousands of people who tank the system. Now you have a right-wing government about to thrive. And Julian Assange, famous liberal, left-wing, he's more left-wing than right-wing. He also tweeted, now they're taking in refugees and dumping them into the ghettos. Liberal utopia with a question mark? This is not me saying this. This is left-wing and progressive socialist hero Julian Assange telling you that Sweden is not this liberal progressive utopia. It is literally a place where the elites control more of the society than any other place in Europe. And they're literally just taking people and dumping them into ghettos. I'm not saying it to be like, edgy or anything. That's literally just what they did. We're such good people. We're going to take in hundreds of thousands of people and just put them in these places, and then we're going to call them no-go zones. How is that nice? How is that in any way helping anybody? It's not. Someone said it won't be long for this guy to be blocked on Facebook. Enjoy him while he speaks plainly. I'm going out on a limb here. Usually I'm much more contained, and usually I don't talk about this type of stuff. But to be honest, I don't know what else to say at this point, because I don't know what it's going to take for progressive socialists to wake up and realize that although they talk the truth about the wars, and I know a lot of progressive socialists follow me, they talk the truth about the wars, they talk the truth about Russiagate, but they're completely off with their socialist ideologies, and they will, I repeat, like I said earlier, it will be their own demise, this failed ideology that they're following. So that's the live stream for today. Hopefully the tech censorship slows down, but I don't see that happening. Hopefully, I don't think they'll target me. I think I'm pretty nice, and to be honest, I don't know any nicer way to really explain it. I'm not mean. I'm not being hateful. There's nothing about race or even religion. I'm just talking math and science. So if math and science are hate speech, then that's what it is. If statistics are hate speech, that's fine. I'm literally quoting Reuters, left-wing disguised as centrist media, breaking news media. I'm quoting Reuters. So is Reuters racist? I don't know. I guess so. I guess Caitlin Johnstone is hate speech. So we'll see what happens. But thank you guys so much for joining. If you'd like to support, it's in the title. It's going to be in the description. I have a Patreon and donor box. It is appreciated. I started making traction on YouTube, and then of course they demonetized my video, but that's fine. I'm still making traction. Thank you for supporting. Thank you for joining. Sign up to my free email list. If you don't do Patreon or donor box, that's fine. People always say, how can I support? Sign up for my free, very free email list. It's 100% free, and especially with all this tech censorship, it will really, 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 really help to stay connected in the future. I'm not annoying. I'm not going to spam you with emails. I'm just going to have those so we can stay in touch in the future. Sign up to my free email list. I'll post it in the comment section in about 30 seconds. Thank you. God bless you. God bless America. God bless the world. God bless your family. I'll be back maybe later today, maybe tomorrow, but maybe not till Monday. Maybe I'll take the weekend off. We'll figure it out. Thank you for joining. Have a good weekend.